Good evening. It is Tuesday, March 21st, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show Post, live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We'll provide our opinions, positions on the hottest topics in sports this evening. My name is Big Reg. I'm joined by my original partner in crime, my brother from another. What's going on, J3?
Big Reg, what's going on with you, man? What's up, fam? Hey, how everybody doing?
Good. Glad you're with me this evening. We may get pop-ins from some of our other partners, but if not, me and J3 will hold it down. So
Yep,
this
yep.
evening, we're going to do it. We're going to give you some quick hits, talk some brief NFL news. There's a couple of things happening, and then the rest is all basketball. We got to talk about the NCAA tournament week 1 recap. Bruh,
Mm.
upsets were the thing, not only on the men's side, but something that usually doesn't happen on the women's side. So we're going to get into that. And then we got to talk about what's going on in the NBA. There's some big news out there with Ja Morant. Looks like he's coming back this week. And just how things seems like all these teams are starting to, do like this, except for a couple of them near the end of the season. I thought
Mm-hmm.
this is supposed to be the time, J3, when you're supposed to be getting your things together so you ready,
Yeah, but
for the postseason run.
but we said this before. You can't predict injuries, and if you got injuries, there's no way that you can get around that. You have to allow those individuals to heal so that they can maintain the status and their stamina to produce, and they can't produce if they on the sideline.
Understood. What's good with your brother Sense? How you feeling this evening?
What's going on, fellas?
Good evening. Good evening.
Good to have you joining us.
Good to be on. Good to be on. What's
Uh,
the topic?
well, we get ready to jump into the quick hits, and then we're going to do a little NFL, and then we're going to hit basketball full, college and pros. All right, saying the quick hits. Man, unfortunately, we got to start it off in a little sad note. We lost another legend. Passing of
Mm.
NBA New York Knicks legend Willis Reed at the age of 80. It's just, I know personally, professionally, and celebrities, there's been a lot of loss going around. So just send prayers and wishes to his family and friends. Willis Reed was a phenomenal basketball player, but from what I read and everything, was also a great man and carried the Knicks to their only 2 championships in franchise history.
Oh yeah.
It's sad that he did pass away, but then we also have to applaud his longevity because, unfortunately, as black men, we don't reach 80 that often. And so, for him to be at that age and gone to glory, we got to thank God that he was with us for this long.
I agree. That's an accomplishment in itself. When I hear Willis Reed, the first thing that comes to mind is that he had gone to the tunnel. Everyone thought he was injured, and then he came out. Everybody was like the whole garden was cheering, and like came back and won the game for him. So like he's definitely going to be missed, but like his legacy will live on.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I don't want taking his shine off of Willis, but the inspiration that he gave to his team was huge. He only made 2 buckets and only played a few minutes in that game. Clyde Frazier dropped 47 in that game to win the game 7. Just saying. But I hear you.
But his
But
presence,
Luke,
his
what I'm
presence,
saying, but you remember
right,
his presence.
right.
He came out the tunnel. Everybody started cheering. Yeah.
Absolutely. He gave him that boat, that energy, and said, okay, we're going to do this for Willis. He gave us his all, so we can't let him down. So, absolutely.
Right.
Major League Baseball, got to give him a shout out. This World Baseball Classic, which started just 3-4 years ago, has been a big hit around the world. Even despite some of MLB's biggest stars sustaining injuries during this event. Right now, the USA is taking on Japan in the finals. It's 1-1, bottom of the second. Trey Turner hit a bomb to scored a first run, and Japan came back in the second inning and hit a ball. So it is crazy. But this is getting Major League Baseball worldwide eyes. I was just talking to J3 before we jumped on. In Japan alone, they've had over 3 million viewers of the games when Japan's playing.
Well, you think
MLB
about
don't get those kind of numbers.
Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. You realize that this is going to give them an additional amount of supporters or fan base, because right now Major League is dwindling in numbers because the games are too long. They're not exciting. People get bored, and then if you go to the stadium, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. So this is a way to rejuvenate their fan base so that they can achieve more support.
Absolutely. And you get more of an international market. And you can see that baseball can be fun because you watch, especially some of the other nations, Dominican Republic, and all, they having fun playing baseball. Then they get to the major leagues. Oh, we don't do it that way here. Baseball, if you bring the fun into baseball, you'll bring in young viewers. So
absolutely. I think my conspiracy, my theory for that is maybe when you first play, you play for the love and that hunger's in you, but when you start getting fed, when you get to that major league, it's kind of like takes away that fire that once was in you. So, but it's good to see that it's gaining some momentum back as far as the interest, and hope it continues.
Yeah. Well, just keep in mind that baseball is not it's not a national recognized sport here in the United States. You got football, then you got basketball, and then you got everything else. And unfortunately, the Major League Baseball falls under everything else.
But it was once called America's pastime, so I don't get it.
To who?
Yeah.
To who?
Yeah, it used to be, but now if you look at the most watched, it's NFL, NCAA football, NBA basketball, then baseball.
Sad.
Yeah. Major League Baseball's opening day is March 30th. And right now they've got every team scheduled to play, as long as there's no weather delays. That'd be the first time they've done that since 1968. So they're trying new things. They're trying to shorten the game. So they're trying some stuff to try to, bring in some new players.
Let me ask you this real quick. Sense, with that being said, how often do you go to a opening day baseball game?
Now, me personally,
and that's who I'm asking. That's exactly who I'm asking.
Not as often as I would like, but
Okay,
it is something that you look forward. It's one of the things that you look forward to in spring. Like opening day is one of those things, going out to see a game. So I mean, yeah, if I had my choice, of going to an NFL game or a major league game, of course I'm gonna take the NFL. But like hopefully these new initiatives they're trying to put in place will kind of change that.
I hear you. Hopefully. I hear you.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, fellas. This Saturday, March 25th on Showtime pay-per-view, we got two former champions getting into the ring. We got David Benavidez, who is a former champion, but again, I try to remind people, he's undefeated. He's never lost. He lost his belt due to things outside the ring twice. Mm-hmm. He'll fight another former champ, Caleb Sweethand Plant, be a 168-pound super middleweight bout. The winner of this fight will be in line for as far as Plant, another shot, or as far as Benavidez, a shot at undisputed champion Canelo Alvarez, assuming that Alvarez wins his fight in May. So if you like boxing, it's starting to heat up from the end of March all through the summer. We're going to have some good bouts as long as everybody stays healthy and they come about. Lastly, we got to talk about UFC 286, fellas. Hey, I got to give props. Leon Edwards did his thing.
Wasn't a fluke after all.
Nope.
No, I think the first one was a fluke. But because he knocked him out cold, Usman looked a little hesitant.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. But like one of his main weapons is his jab. He came out southpaw to try to, be aware of that kick to the right side, kind of block that. So he always had that. It just, he didn't have his normal aggression. And I think that plus the fact that when you win a title, you get a little extra oomph in you. And then Edwards was fighting at home in London. And I mean, he did his thing. He controlled the ring, made sure that Usman only took him down 4 times in the whole fight, tried to take him down like 16 times. He kept blocking him, and then he just kept pounding him. Okay, you're not going to let me kick you in the head? I'm going to kick you in the body, and I'm going to kick you in the legs. He kept pounding the body and the legs. Usman only threw like 4 or 5 kicks, where Edwards threw like 40.
So obviously Usman came in there scared, and it showed in the ring, and that's why he lost. That's what you're saying.
That's my take on it. That's my when you get knocked out cold, that changes you.
Right.
So
I mean, now dare we say this is like, this is the beginning of the end for Usman, or do you see, some fight in him still?
Yeah, I think this is definitely the beginning of the end. Right after the fight, he said, "Yeah, I'm still gonna fight," and he wants to try to get his title back. But Usman has already set up a promotion with some partners to set up MMA promotion in Africa, because he's trying to he wants to bring a UFC main event to the continent of Africa. So he's already making moves for his next venture. And then combat sports, when you start making moves and not focusing on your job, it ain't too long before time to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Man, at some point you can't fight all your life, so you got to look at other avenues to build that revenue.
Oh, I understand. That's the smart thing to do. But once your mentality is not, my whole focus and job is to beat every man they put in front of me, and that's the only thing I'm dealing with, like they do as they coming up trying to get the belt.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start focusing on other things, it's hard to get that back. And he's made a bunch of money. Like I said, he's trying to do some things. So
if you ain't got it in you, you ain't got it in you.
Yeah.
You saw it with De La Hoya. Once he lost to Mayweather, it was just like you ain't got it in him no more.
Yeah.
And then because he was focusing more on promoting and the business side of it than he was actually fighting.
Like Roy Jones.
The only Roy was never the same when he got knocked out twice.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Never the same.
By Tava.
The only combat sport fight I've ever seen that got knocked cold out and still came back and was decent afterwards was Manny Pacquiao.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember that time he was fighting and he got knocked out. Looked like that guy broke his neck and killed him. His wife was screaming in there. But he came back and won the title a couple of times. So, but most of the time when you get hit like that, it's just hard to come back. My man Justin Gaethje defeated Rafael Fiziev by majority decision in the co-main event. That was a good fight. 2 guys to just mix it up. They got fight of the night bonuses. It was just a good bloody 2 guys who's going to beat each other's head in and see the best man win. So yeah, UFC, we got another big event next month where the Stylebender is going to try to get his title back. So we'll let you know about that. But yeah, boxing is really going to start taking off. All right, let's talk about this brief NFL news. We ain't going to stay on this long. I said last week we weren't going to talk about this guy until he actually made some actual news. So Aaron Rodgers did make it official last week that he intended to play in 2023 and that his plans were to play with the New York Jets. The issue now is the Jets and the Green Bay Packers have not agreed upon what that final compensation will be to make that trade for Rodgers. Rumors have it that the Packers want the Jets' first round pick next month, which I think is 13th overall, and other compensation. The Jets are saying, "Nah, we ain't giving you our first round pick." So we'll see who wins the staring match.
Here's what I got to say to that. Jets, your quarterback right now is Zach Wilson. And you ain't trying to give up a first round pick. I repeat, your quarterback is Zach Wilson. And you can get Aaron Rodgers. And you ain't trying to give up a first round pick. Like, okay, like I think you feeling yourself a little too much. You might need to come back down to earth and get your head on straight.
But you give up a first round pick for somebody that's possibly only going to play for you for 1 year?
What have you been spending your first round picks on? You spent the first round pick on Zach Wilson. See what that did for you.
Yeah, but last year's 2 first round picks with a new GM got them offensive and defensive rookies of the year.
Well, and with that being said, you don't think Zach Wilson is progressing in the right way for that team?
No. He gonna be. He needs to sit behind somebody for a couple of years, and if he's lucky, he'll be able to stick around and get a chance to revive his career. But yeah, he wasn't ready for NFL.
So who do you think ultimately wins that staring match?
Well, if I'm the Jets, I don't give in. What are the Green Bay gonna do? What are they gonna do? They're gonna bring Aaron Rodgers back after he said he don't want to be there?
Oh no, that bridge is burned.
So that's what the Jets are like. What you gonna do with him? Or force him to retire and take a $50 million cap hit for him retiring in that plan?
What the Packers did, they showed their cards too early, saying, "Oh, we just want to get rid of him." So Jets like, okay, we gonna get what we want anyway, and we ain't gonna give up much. So yeah. But still, Jets, your quarterback is Zach Wilson. You might want to make this deal soon.
Yeah. The Dolphins officially exercised Tua Tagovailoa's 5th-year option, so that guarantees Tua's salary for 23 and 24. So I think he's got this coming season to prove that he can stay healthy. They know he can play, but stay healthy, especially not miss games because of concussions. Because if he has another concussion, I think that might be his career.
Hope that doesn't happen.
I hope it doesn't either.
No, he's too promising a talent to go out so early.
Yeah. NFL free agency is now deep into week 2, almost week 3, and the signings have slowed considerably. So basically all you're going to see from now on is a 1-year deal here, there. Yeah.
Really, Mark?
Yeah, that's brutal. That's brutal. There's really only 2 big name players remaining on the free agent market. Wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., who somebody put out there that he was asking for $20 million, and of course Odell had to say, "I'm not asking for $20 million. Nobody, I never said that, but I'm definitely worth more than $4 million." So it's going to be interesting to see where Odell decides, to play. If he's going to play for dirt cheap, he might as well go to Kansas City and win a ring.
Well, the word is he's thinking about going back to New York. What y'all think about that?
Yeah, he ain't going back to New York. That's what New York want.
New York burnt that bridge too. They ain't appreciate him when he was there. So I don't see that happening.
He got a taste of winning the ring. You think he gonna come to New York and rely on Danny Dimes to get him a ring?
Danny Dimes was doing his thing, ain't got a new contract, so he gonna be trying to show up.
Fluke. Speaking of fluke.
Yeah. And then you got linebacker Bobby Wagner, who's near the end of his career, and a bunch of other Pro Bowlers that at the end of their careers is still looking for major deals where they have to realize that they're not going to get that kind of money, or if they can play on a 1-year deal for somebody and try to maybe get a little bit more money than a multi-year deal. So we'll see.
I can see the Commanders maybe go because they need a linebacker, but I mean, if he ain't asking for a lot of money, I'd pass. He could definitely be a good piece on the Commander squad because we're desperately needing a linebacker.
It wouldn't be surprising if they did, because they always get people that are washed up on their squad.
Well, that was with the previous owner. We're gonna get into this. Yeah, we're gonna get into that a little later on, but maybe not for long.
Speaking of the Commanders, multiple articles have stated that the sale of the Commanders is imminent. Mm-hmm. I've seen a couple of reports that state that the Snyders actually haven't even been to Washington Park since December. Basically, was that game when they booed his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That they pretty much ain't been back, haven't been in the facility at all.
Cleaned out their stuff from what I heard. So.
Yep. There's a possibility that a potential winning bidder could be announced as early as next week's owners meeting, because the owners have to approve any final sale, or at least for that stage. But the final approval won't happen until the May's owners meeting. So it looks like this actually is going to happen, unless Danny comes at the last minute and says, until y'all indemnify me, I'm not going to sell a team. But he getting a lot of pressure, and you got four bidding groups have put in bids and toured Washington Park.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got at least 4 teams that are serious, and the Harris Group, which is led by Mr. Harris, who owns the Philadelphia 76ers and the Jersey Devils, he's added 2 big partners to his ownership group, a D.C. local billionaire, Mitchell Rawls, and NBA Hall of Famer Magic Johnson, who was part of his bidding group to try to buy the Denver Broncos, and then they got hit by that Walmart money. So they serious, because they tried real hard to buy Denver. So the money's real, the people are there. So we'll see. Keep tuned.
Don't nobody want Snyder. Nobody want that.
Not even his fellow owners. They tired of him, ready to go. All right, fellas, let's talk about this NCAA. Before we get into the games, we got to talk about some of these coaching hires. Your boy Rick Pitino gets Iona into the NCAA tournament, loses in round 1, and pumps that into a brand new 6-year deal at the University of St. John's for a 70-year-old coach.
This is his dream job right here. New York kid going back to sacred ground, St. John's. I was hoping Georgetown would get him, but I knew once St. John's came calling, that was a wrap. So,
2 words for y'all. Once again, white privilege.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because there's some skeletons in that closet, but
exactly,
he's been able to dance around them. So, speaking of Georgetown got the guy they wanted, Ed Cooley, who was actually like a mentee from John Thompson Jr., Big John. He leaves Providence, and that's huge. Ed Cooley is from Providence, born and raised, coached high school there, and then got to coach the University of Providence and rebuild that program. So that was huge. So yeah, they opened up the checkbook. I hear they gave that man quite a penny.
$6 million, I heard.
$6 million a year. That's what I heard too. So Ed Cooley's gonna come back to Georgetown to try to revive the program. His biggest thing he's got to do is get in here and deal with these AAU coaches and high school coaches, but most importantly, the AAU coaches, and get the local talent that leaves the DC area every year.
Please.
Gets some of those top guys to stay home and play for Georgetown.
Recruiting.
I'm about to go on a campaign. It's going to be a different mega. It's going to be make Georgetown great again. Because they ain't been like, they've had a losing record for almost a decade. And they have, not a decade. Almost a decade. And they it's been horrendous under Patrick Ewing's helm. I love the brother. Georgetown, local, I was all for it. But man, it's Georgetown is just this ain't the Georgetown that we used to. We gotta make Georgetown great again.
Yeah.
Man, we right around the corner from Georgetown and don't go to a game. What's that tell you?
Exactly. They're selling Georgetown tickets for $5. You can get front row seats for $5-10.
Sit on the bench, you might get in the game.
Right.
Yeah. Nick had to take a shot at the basketball coach. The reason why he had to take the shot, one of his players was driving 144 miles per hour in Florida, trying to elude police in a Dodge Charger. You can't outrun radar. So of course they caught him and arrested him. So he immediately suspended the guy based on further investigation, saying, there's no wrong place, wrong time type of thing. You make decisions and all that. Taking a shot at the basketball coach's program. Nick's the big fish in the pond, but I think he's getting a little worried because the new guy in town is making a football school a basketball school. So
who would have thought?
Yeah. So let's talk about some of these men's games, fellas. Oh, and then I forgot, Tobin Anderson, who had one of the biggest upsets in the NCAA with Farley Dixon, immediately left Farley Dixon and took Patino's old job at Iona. So.
I don't know. That sounds more like a seat change than an upgrade, but you ain't.
Well, it's an upgrade from Farley Dixon, but not a big one, but at least it's an upgrade. I'm sure his salary got upgraded. So let's talk about these games. Purdue, number one Purdue, loses to Farley Dixon 63-58 in the first round, becoming only the second number one team to lose in the first round.
Man.
So was that coaching? Was that coaching or was that bad players performing?
That was coaching. Farley Dixon was the smallest team in the NCAA tournament, one of the smallest teams in the country. How are you going to lose a game where your All-American center, who's probably going to end up being the player of the year in college basketball, who's 7'4.5", and they basically slowed him down and shut everybody else out?
Another tale of underestimating your opponent.
Yep.
And again, coaching matters. That guy outcoached Purdue's coach, and he never could figure out a right adjustment. So, not as big of a loss, but number one Kansas lost to number 8 Arkansas in the second round, 72-71. And this was all about physicality, fellas.
Yeah, truly.
Manhandled them.
That was a defensive game, man. And you could Arkansas left it all out on the floor. Like even in the post game interview, you saw Davis just break down, like coach just made me pull it out of myself and yeah,
it was good. And this is the result of the transfer portal. The coach at Arkansas was able to bring in 4 or 5 guys to immediately upgrade his team and put that physicality. That's one thing I am glad that the referees in this tournament so far have been allowing the team to play and get more physical. So if you want to be finesse and cute, like the Blue Bloods tend to want to play, the Kansases, the Dukes and all that, okay, you got some grown men that's 4th, 5th, and 6th-year seniors that's been waiting for a chance to put it on you, and they won't let them young boys know. So, of course, y'all see me rocking my gear, number one overall.
Man, I thought we was gonna have the game. I thought it was gonna be a game in that first quarter because ain't nobody scored for like a good 20 minutes.
Yeah, they choked, man. And by halftime, it was over with.
And then they put that spurt on it. Alabama is legit, fellas. 10 to 11 deep. Everybody can play. They start 2 freshmen at forwards, a sophomore at center, and then they got a transfer portal point guard that's a junior, and then they've got a 4th-year senior that might come back next year because he hurt himself last year, and I don't think he's going to be highly ranked as far as the NBA draft. So I think he may come back another year. So not only are they good now, they got a bunch of reserves that can play. They got a good recruiting class coming in. Now, of course, they're going to lose their best player, Brandon Miller, who's going to go to the draft and be one of the top 5 picks more than likely. But they balling and they making that Alabama basketball is going to be a real thing for a minute.
I'm a believer. So
We shall see.
Props to y'all, though. Props.
Yeah. Speaking about getting physical, University of Houston, you talking about some grown amen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lord. What they did to
Man,
that team
twice.
was just a crime, man. They just like
They
They
hungry.
lock you down.
They hungry.
They make you work. It is a joy to watch them play basketball because you're going to have to earn that. The first round, they, kind of was a little just off, I guess, underestimating their opponent, Northern Kentucky. They only beat them 63-52. But Auburn, 81-64, they let Auburn know, oh, no.
man.
Y'all
it
think y'all
wasn't
play
even fair.
physical? Let us show you what physical
It
is.
wasn't even fair. It wasn't even a game in the second half. It was just like, okay, hurry up
Houston
and just
playing
get
with a
this
mission.
over
They
with.
on a mission. They on a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Princeton. Number 15,
Yo.
Princeton knocked off Arizona in the first round. And then they won their second game by 30.
Fundamentals.
Yep.
Fundamentals.
That's it.
Not only fundamentals, they shoot the lights out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, buddy.
Anything is possible, like my man said.
Yeah. And Tom Izzo, I mean, no matter how bad his team plays during the regular season, he
Stay
get to
winning.
March, he going to figure out a way to win. They knock off Marquette 69-60 to get to the Sweet 16. It's just crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, Duke
UCLA
look real bad, man.
Huh?
Jerome was saying Tennessee beat Duke. I said, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Duke
yeah,
look
yeah,
real
yeah.
bad.
Man, Duke shouldn't have even been in that daggone tournament. Let's be honest.
In both men's and women's basketball, college basketball, the transfer portal has changed the landscape. You can no longer hoard a bunch of top players and, I got to wait my time at Duke or I wait my time in North Carolina. I got to wait my time in Kansas. Nah, these kids ain't trying to hear that. If they
wanna
come,
play.
they don't get playing time. They be like, I'm going to go somewhere else and play. I want to play. I want to develop my game. And then you getting juniors who are transferring to programs who are coming from mid-majors or lower programs who actually can play at the level, just were misrecruited. And now they coming into these programs as older guys and they just get physical. I mean, yeah, what Tennessee did to Duke wasn't fair. It was like they shouldn't have been on the same court.
Duke didn't look like they were there. I was like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. What were you saying about UCLA, though, Big Rich?
UCLA is just quietly creeping along, doing their thing.
What I tell you. What I tell you.
So it's going to be interesting because it looks like them and Gonzaga are heading for a big matchup soon. So you had 2 number 1 seeds get through. You had 2 number 2 seeds get through. 3 number 3 seeds made it through. And then 2 number 4 seeds made it through. So, again, there was a lot of upsets. The biggest, again, upset out there is number 5 Princeton. And then they playing Creighton in the Sweet 16. Princeton can beat Creighton. Princeton might make it to the Elite 8.
That's what I got my money on Princeton.
They got to want it, though. They got to want it.
Yeah. Number 5 San Diego State plays Alabama. Number 5 Miami plays Houston.
Oh, yeah, Miami. I forgot about them.
Yeah. Number 7 Michigan State plays number 3 Kansas State. That should be a great game.
Who you like in that game? Kansas.
I prefer Kansas State to win, but they've got a first-year head coach.
Yeah,
Izzo, I think if it stays close, Izzo's going to figure out a way to coach it to win it.
Yeah, that's my point. I was going to go with coaching over the flash because Izzo's tested, and I see them pulling through.
Another great game, number 8 Arkansas playing number 4 UConn. UConn is playing some good basketball.
UConn's been creeping up too. Yeah.
Hurley's got this boys playing better at the end of the season. Tennessee should make it to the Elite Eight. They play FAU. So it's some great games. And then you got some 2-3 matchups. Texas against Xavier, UCLA against Gonzaga. So it's going to be a great Sweet 16. Let's talk about the women. Again, there's South Carolina.
And everybody else.
Then everybody else. But for the first time, 2 number 1 seeds in the ladies' field got knocked off before the round of 16. Indiana lost to number 9 Miami 70-68 in the second round, and Stanford, which was a shocker. But again, Ole Miss got physical with them, played defense, and they was able to beat that finesse game that Stanford likes to play 54-49. They just junked it up. So shout out. Miami is an interesting situation because they got both the men's and women's team in the Sweet 16. Miami is becoming the best basketball program in the ACC, and a lot of that has to do with their NIL collective. They got a lot, almost every one of their players is on NIL deals because they got a super booster.
Well, that's
that has
good.
A big company, so it's interesting.
That's good. That makes them hungry.
Is the dude from George Mason still their coach? That used to La Saranka? Okay.
Jim Larinaga, yep. He's still down there doing his thing. The number 2 seeds. All the number 2 seeds went through on the women's side. Shout out to the University of Maryland. Hey, I got to give, again, Brenda Freeze. Crazy stuff's going on. It seems like they're starting to leak that there was some issues in the locker room and some players wanted to be all about them instead of being about team. So I think Brenda Freeze is just trying to – she's the first on the women's side who's really taken to this transfer portal. She did it a couple of years ago when she brought in like 3 grad seniors in, and they played for a couple of years and a couple of people. And this year she brought in 7 new players because she had all the graduates and then the transfers. But they made it to the Sweet 16. Then UConn is coming back and coming on strong. AZ Fudd started looking like AZ Fudd again in game 2. So that should be interesting. And then one of the best players in women's basketball, Iowa's All-American. She's dropping almost triple doubles every game. Second in the nation in scoring, leads the nation in assists, and averages about 7.5 rebounds a game. She does her thing. So the big games to look at on the women's side, you got number 5 Louisville, who made it to the Sweet 16, upset the number 4 team. They playing number 8 Ole Miss. That should be a great game. Again, an ACC versus an SEC matchup. Louisville likes to run and gun. Ole Miss is going to play gritty and grimy and make you earn every shot. So that should be a great game. Number 6 Colorado. We heard a lot about Colorado recently until Deion went there, but their women's basketball team is actually doing some balling. They play Iowa, and then number 9 Miami playing Villanova. And Villanova has the leading scorer in the NCAA, a young lady named Maddie, who, if you look at it, be like, nah, she can't ball. Oh, yeah, she ball. She scored 1,000 points this season.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. She's on fire.
Yeah, so they're doing their things. All right, so, yeah, definitely check out the Sweet 16. The men's Sweet 16 starts Thursday and Friday. The Elite 8 is Saturday and Sunday. The women's is Friday and Saturday with the Elite 8 Sunday and Monday.
Let's go, Caitlin.
Yeah. She changes the geometry of basketball similar to what Curry does in the NBA. Yeah, she can ball. All right, for the NBA, fellas. Ja Morant returned to the Grizzlies on Monday yesterday. He received an 8-game suspension, but really wasn't an 8-game suspension because he already missed 6 games because he was seeking treatment.
Time served.
Really was only 2 games. But listening to what a couple of interviews I've heard, he's really dealing with some stuff as far as dealing with stress And he even kind of mentioned that he had been thinking about doing something, but didn't want to leave during the season. So he's definitely dealing with some issues. He's saying that his treatment is ongoing. So I wish him success in that because I think it's only going to get more and more intense, especially as they try to make title runs.
Right. Well, so here's my.
Go ahead, Stitch.
No, I was going to ask, do you think his return is too soon? With what he's dealing with, I think that could have just required just a sit out for the season. But the NBA, I'm sure, was caring about their bottom line, and Ja in the playoffs, it's exciting and revenue generating. But I think this was too soon a return for him. He should have sat out more to kind of get that. And I know like it's ongoing treatment and that's great. But I think just like I don't feel he was out enough, not suspension wise, but just more so just taking a beat and just working on him, working on his issues.
Well, that's just it. We don't know what the issues are, so we really can't gauge how serious it is for him to be in or out or off the court. In my opinion, if he says he's ready to go and if he feels as though he's ready to go, he's gonna go. The only person that's going to hold him back is himself.
Yeah, he's very lucky because the NBA was going to hit him hard, but they couldn't actually state had proof that the gun was his.
Mm-hmm.
If they'd had proof that the gun was his, he'd been looking at a Gilbert Arenas type suspension. But so they just got him for conduct detrimental and moved on. Man, Lonzo Ball, again, we talked about the Balls about a month ago. Man, I feel sorry for Lonzo. He just had to have his third surgery on the same knee. They actually replaced cartilage in his knee this time. So,
could this spell the end for him, or do you think
if this doesn't work, this is probably his career. Because, I mean, he's been out since January of last year. He was only supposed to be out a few weeks last year. Then it ended up the rest of the season. And then, he'll be back by the beginning of the year, had another procedure, supposed to clean it up. And then that was never right. He said every time he tried to, build back up and all that, he felt good for a day or two, and then all of a sudden, boom, knee be hurt. So
that's debatable. Yeah, I mean, he showed that he's a solid NBA player. The hype of him being the next, coming of this or that, yeah, that might have been premature. But
that was his dad. That was never him. That was his dad.
Yeah.
So, Since, what do you make of all these NBA teams? Most of them have like 10, 11 games max left. And they almost all of them are like struggling. The only teams right now that are really playing decent basketball, the Bucks are 7-3 in their last 10. The 76ers are playing good basketball. They're 8-2 in their last 10. The Cavaliers are 7-3 in their last 10. Everybody else is 6-4 or 5-5 or losing records for the most part.
Yeah.
Sacramento Kings, I gotta give Kings.
Oh yeah, you gotta give them their props for sure.
They're trying to get this number 2 seed. Everybody else is struggling. Struggling.
I don't know, Big Rich. I don't know what to make of it. Like honestly, especially in the West, it's truly the Wild Wild West. It's like the top 4, and then 5 through 11. It's just like they basically a game, separated from each other. Like it could be, the 11th could raise up to the 6th, with 2 or 3 good games. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the competition's getting tighter. Maybe like people are like, wanting it more, especially the Kings. You see it, a 180 from last season to now. It definitely has to do with the coach and the Mike Brown. But I mean, this is what this is like separating like who's really going after it and who's just kind of like, going through the motions.
Mike Brown got them boys believing, man, and it shows in their production. And just like you said earlier, a coach does make a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, on the East, Eastern Conference side, Milwaukee is definitely the class. Milwaukee's right now the class in the NBA. They doing what they need to do to stay in the one spot, nothing more. If Giannis needs to rest, he'll rest the game. Middleton, they'll play him short minutes. I mean, everybody by holidays, taking breaks, but they getting deeper. They getting look like they getting in the rhythm, and they ready to, make a real run because they still believe that if they'd have had Chris Middleton last year, that they'd have won back-to-back championships. So they on a mission.
That's what I respect about Milwaukee, for sure. I mean, I just want to say this real quick. Professor, I know you tuning in. Yeah, Milwaukee's that team. You heard me say it. Milwaukee's that team, and I think they can, actually win it all. You heard me say it.
I mean, again, they did what they were supposed to. They got players to come in and be productive when your starters are on the bench. That's what you need.
They keep their head down.
Right.
Yeah.
You need 11, 10, between 10 and 12 deep to be a force to be reckoned with during
Absolutely.
the playoffs. And I mean, I can't say it enough, but that's what the Warriors, they showed you the blueprint.
That's what exactly.
You take somebody out, put somebody else in, and keep it moving, and
Straight.
continue to score.
Yeah. And that's culture. That's culture. Milwaukee's building a culture of next man up, keep your head down, bring your lunch pail, let's go to work. And I respect that.
Yeah. And they figure out what everybody does well and allow them to do that, but don't try to have them do too much. The 76ers, your boy Joel Embiid is definitely trying to win MVP. He's got them playing good basketball. Looked like James Harden might have hurt his foot, though, in the last game. So that'll be interesting to see, because I actually think he's the glue, not Embiid, of them playing well, him taking a step back and leading the league in assists and actually making sure the team runs. So it'll be interesting. But Joel Embiid, I'm going to give him his props. I think he's taken over the lead for the MVP of the season. He's had over 30, 35-point games this year, something like that. I mean, he's doing work, and his rebounds have gotten better this year. So as long as he can stay healthy and stay motivated, I think the Sixers will make some noise, but they still not good enough to beat Milwaukee, in my opinion.
So with that being said, is Embiid making his team better? Because
exactly,
he's cool and he can rebound, but if your supporting cast ain't getting fed, or you're not helping them to elevate their game, what good is it?
Exactly, because I haven't heard Tobias Harris's name in a long time.
Well, it ain't about Tobias Harris. It's about
I'm saying his supporting cast.
Maxey is supposed to be their number 2 scorer. That's what they would like. They Embiid, Maxey, then Harden, and then Tobias Harris gets in where he fits in.
That's terrible.
And the litmus test is going to be how they do in the playoffs. I mean, it's always this hype about Embiid and, in the running for MVP, and he's putting up MVP numbers, but they always fall flat in the playoffs. And so the litmus test for me is going to be how they do there. If they can get if they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, that's going to be an achievement.
Yeah. That's getting past Boston or the bus.
That's when the teams can lock in on you. They only focused on you. They game plan for you, and they're going to make it harder for Embiid to put up huge numbers. Or they might say, go ahead, we're going to let Embiid score 45, but ain't nobody else going to score more than 10. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested in seeing what the Cavaliers do come playoff time, because they've been an interesting team. They're 45-28. They've been comfortably sitting in the 4th spot for most of the season. They've got a good mixture of mostly young and a couple of guys that are hitting their prime now. So it'll be interesting to see them. And then the Knicks. Man, how can you have one of your stars drop 50? What did he drop? 54 yesterday, 57?
And still lose.
It happens. It happens.
Typical Knicks. That's the Knicks for you. Like you go bong bong, bing bong, wherever what it is, and New York is that it's coming up and ascending, and then they do something like this. I still actually I'm rooting for them because I echo the sentiments of Stephen A. Like basketball just seems better and more relevant when the Knicks are doing well. It just kind of just gives that that old school mystique to it. And again, with the addition of Brunson, they've been playing good basketball. And Tom Thibodeau's defense, like they're playing collectively as a squad. So I mean, I'll definitely give them their props.
But again, you got one person, Randall, scoring. What's the rest? What's the supporting cast doing?
Good question.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Randall was just hot last night, so they kept feeding.
Yeah, that's not every game. Yeah, but it's Brunson some days. It's Barrett. Others.
Yeah.
It's just like So
it's going to be a situation. Did Thibodeau adjust his regimen enough that his team doesn't run out of gas come to playoffs, and will they be able to make adjustments?
Because he'll run you. He will run a team.
He plays every game during the regular season, like it's trying to be almost like a playoff game. So by the end of the year, his players have tend to be run down. So it looks like he changed that a little bit and played more players this year. So it'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Is Bron coming back this season since?
I mean,
and does he need to come back?
I think he does. I think this last little stretch of games in the regular season, we'll find ourselves. I'm sorry, the Lakers will find themselves in the between the 6th to 8th spot, maybe even the 9th. And then by that time, Bron will be back. I mean, you see him out of his walking boot. He's walking around. He's been going to Germany getting stem cell treatment, which is now allowed in the States, from what I hear. I think this is he don't want to miss the playoffs again, point blank, period. So he's going to do everything in his power to ensure that.
So they about to put that K back on, huh? Since
hey, somebody got to do it.
Unicorn, what's up with the unicorn? He ain't trying to wear that.
Always disappointing.
Yeah.
Oh no, man. That's Lord. Like, I'm gonna bring up this point. KG actually said this is like talking about litmus test. This might be actually the litmus test for Anthony Davis, because this could, be the determinant of it. This was a failed experiment in LA. Like, we basically doing all but actually placing the crown on your head for when LeBron leaves. And clearly he don't want it.
Nope.
He
don't want it.
He's not a number one player. Everybody wants to make him a number one player. He's got phenomenal skills and upside galore, but he doesn't have the personality to be a number one. Everybody can't be a number one. He's best suited to be a number two, where he can just do his thing, and preferably a number two that plays the 4 position and not the 5 position. If he gets hit.
Well, word on the street is, the Lakers have worked out some centers to kind of step into the absence of Mo Bamba, so AD could go back to that 4 position, and like a Tristan Thompson or a Tony Bradley can, take that 5, and we'll see where that goes.
The most baffling thing of all the NBA season is freaking Golden State Warriors. They 2 different teams. They one team at home, they barely lose at home, and on the road they can barely win.
Well, they kind of snapped that. They snapped that with that win over the Rockets.
Come on, it was Houston. You can't count that. That was Houston.
Well, we lost to Houston, so yeah, you can't count that. You can't count it. A game is a game. So I mean, and they also beat the not the Warriors, but the Rockets beat the Celtics. So it's like these teams with nothing to lose are dangerous teams. So you can't underestimate them.
Yeah, they just I don't know what we're gonna get with the Warriors come the playoffs. I mean, they keep bouncing with these road games. They bounce from the 5th or 6th seed to the 8th or 9th seed. So depending on how they finish these last 11 games, I think they're gonna have like a 4-game home stand somewhere in there. So it's crazy. But if Andrew Wiggins doesn't come back for the postseason,
I don't think he is.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And the rumors I'm hearing about what's
going
on.
Same. Oh man, that hurt my heart to hear.
He dealing with some serious emotional stuff, so it'll be crazy. All right, fellas. Anybody else got anything on the NBA before we get up out of here?
I'm kind of just wondering, like, going back to the Eastern Conference, like who's sitting at that 6 seed? Is it Atlanta or is it Toronto? Like who's rounding out that the 6 through 8?
Right now, the 6 seed, the Nets are in the 6.
Surprising.
And then you've got 7, 8, 9, 10 are the Heat, Hawks, Raptors, and Bulls, with the Wizards and Pacers. Like I think the Wizards are a game out of the 10th seed, and the Pacers are like a game and a half, 2 games out. But none of those. The Heat are the team that I wouldn't want to face in a playoff series if they get in.
I wouldn't sleep on Brooklyn either. Like that addition of Johnson and Bridges, like those are some dudes who can still play defense.
Yeah.
For them to,
they're a good young team. I just think they're not ready to, really
go that
test,
extra.
really test the 76ers or the Bucks. But yeah, I think this is going to be a good learning experience for them. And as long as they keep most of that team together and try to find somebody just to add to that team and not try to have somebody come in and say, I'm taking over, it's my team. Just add to that team. Brooklyn can build something that can contend with them next year. I agree. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I like Mikal Bridges. He was like, when everyone said Brooklyn was over, like with them addition of those pieces and you still keeping Seth Curry and Patty Mills, like that can have the potential to be in a solid squad.
Right. And everybody gets to eat there. There's no big egos that they got to force feed anymore. So, yeah, it's good. All right, fellas. So it's about that time. Before we get out of here, we got to give the folks our final post of the evening. J3, what you got for me?
Yeah, real quick on my Wednesday night league, I want to give a shout out to Chris Smith. He rolled a perfect 300. Good job, Chris.
Good job.
300. That's a good bowler. They rolling some numbers. 299s and 300s. I see you. Yeah. I see. What you got, Sense?
I just want to give a shout out to the DC Defenders, now 5-0 after beating St. Louis. We got something going on. At least we got a football team in Washington to like really get behind right now.
And they doing it by playing defense. Greg Williams, Greg came to town and got them boys playing. Getting turnovers at the end of games and shutout games. And them boys gonna have a Monday night football game. Get out of here. Go ahead.
That's all right. That is all right.
He recognized something, and man, so
yeah.
That we went to it the last time they were here. I know since you and the professor were talking about going to this Monday night game, I wish I could go, but I'm coming back from traveling from the West Coast. But the atmosphere at the Defenders game is crazy.
Audi Field, man.
Audi Field, they pack it up and it'd be rocking. The atmosphere when they played St. Louis, the Battlehawks, St. Louis sold their stadium out.
Nice. Everybody love football, bro. Everyone
loves football. Keep it going.
Loves football.
I just like to remind everybody, enjoy this weekend coming up. Sweet 16, Elite 8 weekend in college basketball, men's and women. Enjoy it. You got some great matchups and some phenomenal athletes out there doing things on both the men's and women's side. Since mentioned earlier, Miss Caitlin, who's a walking triple-double.
Pull up from the parking lot.
Angel Reese at LSU. In her last game, she had 28 points and 22 rebounds. Some people putting some big numbers up. So just enjoy. All right, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and the opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. We're here each and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for our next live show. You can also download the show and previous shows via our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. If you decide to go to either one of those, just go Positions on Sports Talk Show. Please like and subscribe to Scriptions Speak. We greatly appreciate it. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Positions on Sports and Twitter at Positions on SBO1. Again, have a wonderful week. We greatly appreciate your time. Please tell your friends and family and social media contacts about our show. And again, we'll see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Roll Tide Roll. Let's go, Bama.
Make Georgetown